Hi everyone, this is Paul, and today we're going to be going over calf mobility and ankle stretches. I'm going to teach you a bunch of techniques, things like flossing, PNF stretching. We're going to touch on some FRC techniques, some scraping techniques, really a whole toolbox to help your calves move better. Our first exercise right here, I basically took like a 2x4, this is actually an FMS board, and I just put it on 2 yoga blocks to create an incline. And so we could hit a Soleus stretch just by essentially leaning forward. They do make specialty calf blocks for this purpose, this kind of inclines, but you don't have to buy something special. Might as well use the same kind of apparatus, and this is obviously very adjustable. I just add or subtract blocks as I need to. And by stretching this way, we get a nice stretch right across our soleus, which is the same pattern in our squat. We can also use our hands to kind of increase our force, pulling down to create a little more stretch. If I want to work the calf at the end range of its motion, I can also press down with my toe and my foot to kind of squeeze here to build control and strength at the end range, which will help you gain more mobility. Typically on a stretch like this, I might want to hold it for 2 minutes. So next I'm going to show you some ankle cars. It's really good to start your exercise with cars because the controlled articular rotations help you engage all the muscles and kind of works like a warm-up, really. I'm going to do it standing. Normally you do it seated, it's a little easier to see standing. And so then I can turn out my foot, I can push, I can turn in, I can pull up. And when I'm doing a car, the idea is not to use any of the hip or the shin if our goal is to work ankles. For my second calf stretch, I'm going to work more of the gastrocs in the stretch. And what I did was I put the FMS board up on 2 yoga blocks so I have some height. And so when I come down, I actually have something I can grab onto so I can move my hips forward to create a more strength in this stretch. If you have a lot of musculature in your calves, like a lot of people do, you do need to put some force on them to create a stretch. And just like in the previous exercise, I can do my pails and rails pushing down through my foot or pulling up to work the shin muscles. Stretch number 3. This is one of my favorite stretches, particularly since it only needs the kettlebell for it to work. It's a great soleus stretch. So what we do is we basically put the kettlebell up on our knee or on our femur, and then we just kind of lean forward, stretching the soleus. And I can stretch to the inside, and I can stretch to the outside. I can, of course, do my pails and rails from here, pushing down through the toe to create strengthening of the gastrocs and of the soleus in its fully stretched state. And I can also change direction and pull my toes up to create stretch. This is a great exercise to do because, again, it's kind of mimicking the positioning of the squat and that knee flexion angle, which is largely controlled by how flexible your soleus is. So this next exercise is a great gastroc stretch. It really does work well for doing progressive loading as well as pulling up on your calf to work your shin muscles. Here's how it really works. So we're just going to push our leg back and drive our heel back, stretching out the gastrocs, and then we lean forward. And then with our hands, you start to push down, and that'll give you a very deep stretch in your gastrocs. And you can work both the medial as well as the lateral side, wherever it is that you're tight. So I have some rock pods with me, which is a great tool for doing cupping. And we're going to do some cupping on the calf to help any tissue that may be stuck and help the lymphatic system get everything that needs to be out of the leg back up to the excretory system so it can move better. So we can take our rock pod, just stick it on top of the calf. If you can tolerate it, you can also flip the rock pod over first to kind of increase the amount of suction. And then maybe grab a little bit lower. And then one on kind of the more lateral part right, so I got 3 on here pretty good, and I can work my movement here. I can work the rock pods around to really loosen up the area. And also just move in the direction. Like if I want to work my squat, I can kind of work that range. I can bring one leg down. Any position that the knee would need to go, and the ankle is wherever I want to work. I can also do my Soleus Stretch here. And just kind of getting the tissue to move around more freely will help with recovery and improve range of motion. And as you can see, the little bit of dark spots shouldn't last very long. If they last more than a minute or two, that tells you need to work a little more mobility on your calf so that you don't have any lasting injuries if you work out too hard. Next, I have with me my little rock tape Mohawk, as well as some of their rock blades. I like both this heavy one and the Mohawk for working on ankles and calves. So for a lot of people, you're going to see some tightness inside the ankle condyle here, and you got to be gentle, work that out very slowly. And then right along the peroneals here, usually there's a lot of tightness. For me, I can definitely feel there's a lot of bumps in here, so I want to work that out. And I'll just kind of follow that up, working out all the little bumps and kind of smoothing it out to help the tissue glide much easier. For the actual Gastroc itself, you can use the Mohawk, but I find the angle on the rock blade works a little bit better. And I'm just going to pull up nice and slow, push down, go in either direction, and just kind of working out, again, all the little adhesions that are in the muscle to help the tissue move a little bit better. Usually takes 3 to 4 minutes or so per muscle area you're working, gradually building up force as you relax the tissue. The next exercise I'm going to show you is with the Gemini, which is from Kelly Surratt's mobility wad. The Gemini is kind of a unique tool. There are similar tools on the market, but for working the calf, I haven't found anything that works as well. And this is basically just a smashing technique. If you've already done your scraping, you may not feel this very much, but if you do it first, you will. This can be done with a lacrosse ball, although it tends to work a little better with the unique surface of the Gemini. And the one that I really like, though, that's even a little bit better, is this tack and turn technique. It's got a nice pointy end, and we can stick it right inside the calf and then turn. And oh my, the first time you do this, you'll be surprised at how stuck together your fascia is on your tibia and your fibula. So this is a great exercise to loosen all that up. So here I have a CMT band. It has these little half lacrosse balls which you kind of attach to it. They're detachable. You can get the following technique to work with just a regular kind of voodoo floss or rock floss, but this tends to work a lot better for the calf. And all we're going to do is kind of stick the balls on the tightest spot of your calf, which for me is like right at the very beginning of the gastrocs, and we're just going to pull it around and kind of get it a little tight. When I do flossing with this kind of band, I tend to do the kind of cross one, because really the idea is to get some good tension on those balls so they can kind of do the work for you. You'll find that this technique is, you'll feel a lot of pressure on these balls, and it doesn't take a lot of force to get this to work. So once you got the band in place, we can do our forward stretch for the soleus, our instep stretch. I also like to just work the basic squat pattern here, and moving that ankle around, trying to get a little more leverage. So if you've ever trained with me, you'll know that I don't really like unitasking tools. There's hundreds of body parts to work and muscles, and I try to buy equipment that's useful for more than one thing. However, this particular tool made by Trigger Point called the Footballer really is an amazing tool. It only works the arch, and the arch is really important because if your arch starts to get sore from overwork, you get plantar fasciitis, you could be out of running for like a year, out of lifting. And so it's not a very expensive tool, and it will help your arch move better, and it's really quite simple to use, which is also really nice. Normally you'd be on a wall, but I'm just going to demonstrate, and we're just kind of rolling our foot. That's really all that we need to do with it. We can certainly curl the toes to create a little more strength on the muscle. We can also flex. I'd get both directions. You can change your leverage to your pinky toe side as well as your big toe side. It even works with the transverse arch right on top. It's got just the right amount of pressure with a little bit of cushion that's in there. It's more comfortable than a lacrosse ball, and it's faster to work than a lacrosse ball. But if you don't have a football, or certainly a lacrosse ball is your second best substitute for this particular exercise. Along the same lines as our football or lacrosse ball foot knob is our Untitled Stretch. We can do it with 1 foot or 2 feet. I'm going to kind of show you from the back here. And then we can just kind of bring our body backwards to create leverage on the foot. And I have my foot in a very kind of aggressive dorsiflexion, and I feel the stretch running through my foot, which is the goal of this exercise. Also helps build big toe extension, which is also important. And I can work it from the pinky side by tipping out to my left, or more towards the big toe by pushing out through my right. Yoga, of course, brings us many good stretches for the calves and for the ankles. I have here like a calf stretching tool. It's sold with physical therapy equipment. You can do these following stretches without it, but this does help create a little more leverage. And it's pretty easy to put on. We just slide our ankle in, run the Velcro across the top of the leg. And then from here, we can get a very powerful calf stretch. And a bunch of ways we can do it. We can certainly do it in Janusarasana. And we're just kind of leaning forward, using these handles to add leverage to the calf, and you'll feel that big time in your entire gastrocs. You can of course grab too, that'll also work, bring your head down, and so on and so forth. Just grabbing the toes can fool your calf or fool your brain into thinking you're stretching your calf. This is more the foot. So I like the side grab, and if you're more flexible, just work your hands back and back and back. The hamstring doesn't have to be on stretch here. We're really focused more on the calf. So if the knee's bent a little bit, that's still okay. I also like Supta Janusarasana, where we have our legs straight up, and then we're working. This definitely will feel different. Because of gravity is now assisting me, it's a little bit easier to gain leverage against the stretch, and I can work this stretch for a minute or two. If your mobility is challenged, bringing up this knee will make the stretch easier to do, and you can maybe even grab up taller. So I'm Paul, and we're going to go over Janusarasana in a decline position, or Supta Janusarasana. It's a one-leg head-to-knee pose. We walk our hips all the way to the wall, and then we bring our legs up. One knee comes down, and then we bring the other foot back, pulling on the foot, and then we're kind of pressing away, stretching through the heel, pulling the toe down, straightening out the knee. The stretch really does a great job on loosening up the calf as well as the foot. We can also walk it further to increase the stretch, or holding the toe is a great variation. In the Ashtanga practice, we might even grab the big toe to really kick that heel up and away as we pull back. And it's just a really good way to loosen up the calf and makes this pose a lot more approachable when it's on the wall and gravity is assisting us with the stretch. So by now you've seen me do about 10 different calf stretches, and I know what you're wondering, aren't we doing rolling, right? Well, I do have a roller, and I like the trigger point ones a lot. Rolling the calf isn't that simple. It's one of the harder ones to set up. It's not actually hard, but when I go to the gyms, like Gold's Gym, LA Fitness, whatever, I see people rolling the calves, the way that they're doing it really is not that effective. I'm going to teach you how to do it in a more effective way that doesn't require that much more setup. And all you really need is 2 yoga blocks. I like these cork ones that Manduka makes because they're a little bit firmer. And what I do with the yoga blocks is I use them to help me kind of lift my hips up so that I can kind of really create the stretch. I'm gonna be right here on the gastroc. I'm gonna avoid the Achilles on this. And I kind of lift up. And once I'm here, I can leverage the other foot. And then I can roll and I can gain a nice deep stretch and really put a good amount of pressure up on my calf. Turning the foot to either pointing, plantar flexion, as well as dorsiflexion, pulling the toe back. Kind of puts different muscles under tension, and that's a great way to make sure that you're getting whatever area is tight. Just be careful when you do this that you keep your quad engaged so you don't hyperextend your knee, because there could be a lot of pressure. So whereas the rollers from Trigger Point are kind of ubiquitous nowadays, these balls are sold a lot. I don't see a lot of trainers using them. It's a shame. They're a little bit harder to learn how to use, but there's a lot of good uses of them. And one of them is for the calf. So to get this to work, you'll need a yoga block or something else to raise your leg up a little bit. And you just stick the balls on the block, and then they're just the right size to really sink in there nice and deep. I use my other hand to push down, and man, you're gonna feel this big time. It is one of the best smashing techniques for calves I've found. Make sure you get both gastrocs, of course, when you do this. And it's very easy to do, which makes another reason why I like it so much. Remembering to move the foot into different positions, finding anything that's tight, and trying to loosen up and soften up the entire calves. Muscles shouldn't be tight unless they're being worked or squeezed. They should normally have good, soft resilience when they're not under load. Okay, on this stretch we have a device called the Proflex. They sell it both in a single model as well as a double model. The double model is a little more expensive, but it does have a couple unique options which I really like. I'm going to show you my two favorite calf stretches with it. So I'm again stretching my left calf here. I'm going to stick my heel in, and then with the other foot I'm going to push down on the back and then lean forward. And that'll create a pretty intense stretch in my gastrocs. If I need a little bit more, I can bend that knee forward, really to gain some leverage on this stretch. It's very similar to the half kneeling stretch because I have a bent knee here. The other way I like to use this device is in a split position, and I fold down, grabbing the toe, and that adds a lot of stretch through the whole posterior chain. I can feel it running up through my sole, through the Achilles, even up to my hamstring, and maybe even my glute a little bit. If I need a little more, I can just pull up on the Proflex to gain the stretch. This one alone is worth the price of the Proflex. Highly recommended. The only thing I don't like about it is you need shoes. They should make a shoeless model because that's really how we do mobility. So another really good yoga-inspired stretch that you can do for the calf is kind of like an off-center down dog. The leg that we want to stretch is going to be forward a little bit. And then we just kind of walk the heel down and bring the other leg back. This is a gastroc stretch, and you're going to feel it a lot, particularly as you start bringing your hips forward, keeping that heel down. You can really gain a lot of leverage on this stretch and work it for 2-3 minutes, really to loosen this up. So there you have it. That's 18 different mobility exercises for the calves and the feet. I hope some of them were helpful for you. Again, if you need any tips, please hit us up at standstillfitness.com. And be sure to register for upcoming seminar on calf and ankle mobility so I can help you in person and get you moving better. It's been Paul with Stand Still Fitness. I'll see you soon.